Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Sport Show right here on Smash FM here on a Friday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's go up to our friends up in Queensland. Of course, going up to the Gold Coast in particular, and we're heading to Brisbane, and of course, being with the Bond University netball team, and of course. The first round of the Sapphire Ruby series started last weekend, and of course, we got two very special guests from the Bull Sharks netball team to tell us a bit about it. Thanks both for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Well, I'll get both of you to introduce yourselves and tell us what position or both of you play on the court in your respective teams.
I'm Molly. I'm the captain of the Ruby series. Bit of a mixed bag. I play mostly across the mid-court, but preference is wing defence.
And I'm Hannah. I'm the Sapphire, coach. I'm the Sapphire captain. I play goal attack, goal shooter.
First round of the season started last weekend. Yep. Tell us, how did it all go for the Bull Sharks?
I think it was disappointing across the board, unfortunately. In the Ruby series, I think that we showed a lot of positives throughout the game, particularly in our first, second and fourth, but unfortunately let ourselves down in that championship quarter. But I think we came away with a lot of confidence from that game, which is super important.
Yeah, and with us, obviously, Cougars were the top team, so we fought pretty well. We won the third quarter, which is good, and took a lot of positives out from the game, but unfortunately lost in the end.
For the Bull Sharks, you come back into the competition after technically a year of a hiatus. And, of course, you face up against the defending champs, the Cougars, in the first round. How difficult was that to play the defending champs after, obviously, as a netball team had a bit of a year off?
Yes, last year, obviously, we didn't have involvement in the Sapphire, so I certainly think that they used that year as that rebuilding year. And I think, honestly, pressure is certainly a privilege. So I think being able to come up against a quality side like Cougars in the first round would, I guess, be a perfect way to kickstart the season, in all honesty.
Yeah, definitely. They're always one to beat. I was in the grand final when I played with QT last year, and obviously only losing by 2. Yeah, they're always one to beat.
I have to ask you, because I was at that grand final last year, so I know I won't relive it exactly what happened, but how much did that sting? And especially, to come back and obviously get versus the team that beat you a couple months ago.
Yeah, look, it was quite disheartening to be up pretty much the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
I actually sat on the bench and then got thrown on in the last 2 minutes. So that was pretty tough, but yeah, learn a lot from it. So yeah.
All right, let's talk a bit about the positives now. Now I know obviously in this Ruby Sapphire series, which I think your league is the only league that does it. Of course, you win quarters. Obviously, you get points for winning quarters. Yeah. Is that good for like your teams in particular, or for the competition, with the fact that you've got motivation to keep playing on, and especially if it comes to like blowouts?
Yeah, definitely. It's super important to win every quarter, but if you win one out of the whole game, that really boosts you up. Like, I think we're sitting at 4th now, and we could have been 5th or 6th. So it's super important.
Tell us a bit about your amazing coaches.
Oh, which one?
Yeah, they are all incredible. They're tough. They're super tough on us, especially with conditioning. Yeah.
I think that we've got a pretty, in comparison to other franchises, this may be a bit biased. I think we've got a lot of diversity in our coaching staff, and that's obviously the amazing head coaches in Beck Stour and obviously Kim Boland. But I think the people in which they surround themselves with, like Amanda, Gav, Tanya, the rest of them, they all provide such different perspective on the game, which provides us with such a holistic coaching staff. So I think they're quite phenomenal, and they're all pretty honest, which is nice and refreshing.
You sum that up pretty well.
Mention about one of your coaches, which is Beck, who was part of the Queensland under-17s team that won the national championship in Darwin about 2 weeks ago now. How special was it for the team to see one of your coaches come home with a gold medal around their necks?
Look, it's definitely a bragging right. Beck's a great coach and she definitely deserved that. And you can see why they won. Beck's got great coaching styles and knows the game like the back of her hand. So, yeah.
I think as a franchise, we're all very proud. Obviously, we have Beck and THYR and obviously the other girls that were represented, but certainly that under-17. Beck was at the forefront of that win. So it's pretty special for us as a franchise to be able to call it one of our own.
Now, you did mention about THYR as well, just a moment ago as well. Did she bring the gold medal back, to training to show it off?
Unfortunately not. They're pretty humble.
Very humble, yeah.
Tell us a bit about her and especially the growth of, throughout the preseason and obviously the Nationals, and now she's come back to the team after Nationals. How much has she grown from the first day of preseason this year to, where you are now?
Yeah, so obviously this is my first season playing alongside her, and like Hannah and I said, she is such a humble, wholesome, really considerate player as well. She's the definition of a team player, and you can see, even though she did have that period out with Nationals, coming back from that win, it's certainly her focus hasn't been redirected whatsoever. So she's a very focused, a player that plays with consistency, and I think that's one of the greatest things about her. You know what you're getting with her. So I definitely think probably from a technical perspective, her footwork certainly improved and the rest of it, but we're pretty lucky to have her part of the Ruby team, that's for sure.
Both of you been captains of your respective teams, Ruby and Sapphire. I'm not going to say, obviously I'm going to say it's not a surprise that both of you got it, but my question I'm going to ask you, which is very similar line, were both of you surprised?
Were we surprised?
Yeah.
I was surprised, yeah.
100%.
Whereas both being new players to Bond, we definitely had to prove ourselves. And, yeah, I guess it was a surprise, but took it with two hands.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing about the Bond franchise is that I guess the captains in which you have in front of you, all of us were surprised to be selected, and that probably shows the strength of leadership that we have across the board as a whole.
Okay.
Following up from that, what have both of you learnt from each other on and off the court?
Yes, well,
discipline and preparation. I've learnt that from Hannah. I think she is one of the most prepared players in which you'll see, and that starts from her preseason. It's not just the night before a game, and that takes discipline and consistency, in which a lot of players just don't innately have within their personality. So that's probably the biggest thing that I've learnt from Hannah.
Oh, great. Molly, you have always been very consistent. You've always been giving 110%. Your encouragement all the time. Like sometimes I really drop my encouragement, but Molly's always yelling and supporting everyone.
Making me blush.
I have to ask, have either of you played against each other before coming across the Bond?
No, I don't think we've ever
different positions. So
yeah,
it's hard for that.
All right.
The day.
Yeah.
Probably best. But
yeah. Nothing that stands out though.
No.
Tell us a bit about your netball journey. Where did it all start and why did you choose it?
I started at Underwood Park, back when I was probably 11 years old, and went through the pathway they provided, which was Wildcat. So played 2 years in under-19s, and then when I was 15, and then 1 year in Div 2, and then the series turned to Ruby series. I played for Cougars, don't remember the year, but played for Cougars, played for under-17s for 2 years, and under-19s Queensland for 1. And then went into QUT Sapphire last year, and now I'm at Bond Sapphire.
I've probably got a pretty opposite story to Hannah. I started my underage netball at Downey Park, which was an absolutely brilliant association. Went through, you'd probably call me a mature age player, as I didn't get picked in any of the underage, hardly made a district team. And then I was fortunate enough to be contacted by Beck Stour 2 years ago to play for the Darling Downs Panthers when I was 21. So a bit later on in my life. So, yeah.
Definitely earned it.
Yeah. Hannah, you've been involved in a couple of clubs by the sounds of it. Wildcats, Cougars, obviously QUT last year, which obviously no longer in this competition at the moment, and now obviously at Bond. Now, I know it's going to sound a really silly question to ask you, but do you have your heart on one or the other?
Oh, answer wisely.
Easy. Bond's been by far the best club I've been a part of. It's a great community, and coaches, players, like no one thinks they're above each other. So it's a really great environment.
Oh, good.
It's hard. Love being coached. So yeah, it's good.
Well, I have to ask you then, you were at Darling Downs last season. Now, obviously, netball is pretty big down there in the Darling Downs, there in Toowoomba. How's the community been warmed to the netball, and especially to having the Ruby Series team down there?
Yeah, honestly, I think Darling Downs a testament to the regional community out there. The numbers in which you used to attract was like no other, and I think that I was pretty fortunate to be a part of a franchise like that. And the pathways in which are offered there now is absolutely exceptional, which is really important for those regional kiddies. But I think that's also similar to Bond as well. We're coming up to Titans and we've got a home game, and the quantity of tickets that have been sold clearly exemplifies the support in which they have down the coast. So it'll be interesting to see how the coastal community matches up to the regional kiddies.
Great segue you've just segued into. Now you've got your Titans on the back door. Is there starting to get, well, I know it's early, but is there a bit of a rivalry now trying to, beat the Titans?
Oh, 100%.
There's always a rivalry.
100%. Even though I guess we're Brizzy girls, born and bred, I think we've definitely fed into probably
Clash of the Coast.
Yeah, clash of the Coast, exactly.
Yeah. We both want it really bad, so.
Well, hopefully when you verse them sometime throughout this year, you can at least get a sweep on them in 2023. What does the sport of netball mean to both of you, especially being there at Bond Uni?
I think netball, for me personally, and I probably speak on behalf of a lot of the teams in which I've been involved with, I think the one thing that screams to me netball is community. I think the community in which netball provides is absolutely extraordinary. I think the coolest thing about netball is probably they're able to promote and foster community, even though I've used that word 100 times, within a diverse group of people. And I think that's pretty cool to be a part of. So I think that's probably one of the main things. And I think the second thing individually would be the life values it teaches me. It's like, yes, we're playing a game of sport, but the way in which we play that sport teaches us so many life values, which are integrated into my day-to-day life in general. So those are probably the two things, and they probably mean the most to me about netball.
Yeah, following on to that, definitely community. It's a huge part. Like, you can play netball socially to competitively, mixed netball, men's netball now, which is great. Netball's taught me so much about mental health and physical health. It's so important. And I think a lot of things carry over into everyday life, like sportsmanship, how you treat other people.
So both of you mentioned right at the start what position you play on the court. If you had a dream position, we'd love to convince your coaches to put you. Where would that be? Be honest.
I'm going to say centre.
Oh,
yeah, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. I see it's so hard, but then you get to go in all three.
True.
So
see, I don't have enough finesse to be a shooter. So I reckon I'll go keeper. I reckon I'm happy. Yeah, scrap it out and keeper. Yeah,
definitely scrap it out.
Do either of you have any future ambitions in the sport of netball other than winning the Ruby Sapphire series?
Yeah, I'm really hoping to make one of the ANC teams this year, either Queensland Sapphires or Sunshine Coast Lightning. It's really important to make one of those teams or to be training partner to be looked at for SSN teams and training partners. So really want to kickstart something there.
Mine's probably a bit simpler. Looking at the Sapphire series, possibly in the next coming years, would definitely be an achievement and a half if that could happen.
What would be your advice to people down the coast that should get involved in netball?
There's a lot of ways you can get involved in netball. We've got our Bond Cubs program, which I think got sold out pretty fast. We've got like over, how many girls? Like over 200
easily,
girls in our program. We coach at that as well as our great coaches. Going onto Netball Queensland, like their website has so many different pathways and a lot of things.
I think honestly, the best thing to do, grab a bunch of mates. You can get involved in your Saturday netballs. There's so many school opportunities as well these days. The pathways in which coaches are providing, particularly like Kim and Beck with the Cubs, like Hannah said, and in your regional pathways, you've also got similar programs. But I think that's the best thing about netball is that it's run on the back of volunteers. So it's all about, this sounds cliche, but it's all about the love of netball. So the more participation, the better. So start with your Saturday, your school sport, and try and look for those other avenues that Netball Queensland promotes.
We'll finish off with a couple of lighthearted questions about your teammates. Firstly, who had the most embarrassing moment on the court, either at training or during the game so far, and what was it?
Moments. There's
I got hit in the head by Alana Penny.
Oh my God.
The Sapphire wing defense, who's someone, laws of physics, you wouldn't want to be coming up against. Got a nice little shiner across the forehead, which was super appealing.
They both went up for a ball. It didn't even look too hard, but Molly came down and she just had this egg, like all of a sudden, like this massive egg, and everyone was like,
oh, it was not a cute look. Definitely came off second best in that one, so that was pretty embarrassing.
Actually, then as a follow-up, was there any vision of that, or, was that being taken on photos by any chances?
There is photo evidence. Our lovely Gav, just before checking the welfare, needed to make sure it was well documented to start off with. So that's been taken. So I'll probably come up at end of season photos, which will be fun.
Classic. Yeah.
So who's the comedian, the best singer, and into their TikTok /Be Real?
Lily as the club comedian.
She's a bit of a class clown.
Even at inappropriate times, she always pulls out some jokes. Definitely.
Best singer, got to be Harriet.
Really?
Yeah. So she's a music teacher. Yeah. She's part of a lot of choral programs. So if you're looking for legitimate singers, I'd probably sign Harriet up for that gig.
Yeah, I'm also going to say Maddie in my team. I've heard her sing a few notes. She's pretty good.
You've got a few vocal cords there? Yeah. TikToker.
Dakota.
Yeah.
By far. There's always Dakota and Ocean. They're always
hand in hand.
whipping out their phones.
So have either of you been reeled into those TikTok things?
Oh, you have.
I'm a little bit of a TikTok it's fun. It's so much fun, and we get coaching involved as well, which makes it hilarious. But
I probably shy away from it a bit more.
So do either of you have a pre-game superstition or ritual?
No.
This is going to sound so strange. Just before we leave the change room for warm-up, I've got like a little tub of like Vicks, like vapor rub that I always put on my chest before I play, which sounds so bizarre, but it's been kind of happening since I was little.
Fair enough.
What about you?
I'm someone who must strap my left foot, strap my right foot, put my left sock on, put my right sock on, shoe. Like, I think I try and not have a superstition, but naturally, I just always Have to do it.
Yeah.
So in the changing rooms, do you have as a team, a pump-up song?
Still as like a pretty new team, so we're just trying to figure everything out. But we blast the music and have a boogie before we go out.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we have any set one. I think we've got a good range of music.
The playlist, we definitely
Subjectively.
team playlists, yeah.
Team players, exactly.
On top of that, as a follow-up, who's the responsible one for the speakers in your respective teams?
Dakota.
Yeah. Dakota.
Yeah.
She's got this massive one.
Yeah.
Always brings it in on her shoulder.
Yeah. A bit of swag.
Blasting music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mentioned about embarrassing a moment ago. So any funny moments that's happened so far?
Oh, there's been a lot. I actually am not sure if I can put my finger on any of it.
There's always a bit of a laugh through training. You've got the classic falcon with the ball or just falling over one's feet out of nowhere.
Coaches falling over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think there's always a bit of humour going around Bond, which is good. Keeps things lighthearted.
Been to other netball teams in Queensland and obviously down here in Victoria. They mentioned a lot about, they look at the game day photos. And have you done that? And any really strange photo face ones that game day faces that we should know about?
Elka in our team, GS. She's got the classic kind of tongue out dog vibe where like she was shooting. That was always good. Yeah, she's got a couple of those clicked. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a few scrunch faces and little eye roll photos, but nothing too bad.
Yeah.
And you get your home game down the Gold Coast. Obviously, both of you are coming from Brisbane. Is it difficult to get to training from Brizzy?
It's usually
not too bad.
between an hour and a half. Once it was 3 hours because of the multiple crashes, but I think training's so good and you look forward to it. So the drive's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's pretty cruisy.
And how good would it finally be again a home game later on? I think it's around May, June. I think your home game is.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the date, but we're keen for it.
Very keen. Very keen.
Yeah.
So what would be advice to those people on the Gold Coast who normally don't get the chance to come because it's up in Brisbane for bulk of the season? What would be your advice to get down to at least that home game whenever that is?
Yeah, Kim Bollard, she runs our social platforms. She always posts all the information and tickets regarding that. So if you follow us on Instagram, which you should, you'll see that information there.
100%.
Do you have a fine system? And if so, who's got the most fines so far up to this point?
Yes, our wellness logs.
Oh,
we have to do wellness logs every morning before 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Which if you sleep past it or you don't do it, you have to dance for 1 minute in front of both teams. I've definitely copped it.
You've copped your fair share.
I've copped it a few times. Pretty embarrassing.
It doesn't sound bad, but it's awkward.
It's horrible.
So awkward. It's worse than a public apology in all honesty. And by that kind of 45-second mark, everyone's a bit like, oh.
But that's our fine system for not doing things we're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
Like every day.
You have to do these wellness logs every day. It takes 5 seconds, but if you forget, you're in
Well, both of you, thank you so much for getting up some of your time to join us. It's awesome getting a chance to interview the Bond Bull Sharks, I should say, in the netball side of things. I can't wait to come up to Queensland sometime this year, and let's hope it all goes well. And can't wait to see the Sharks flying high again, because after the game last week against the Cougars, hopefully it gets better from here.
100%. Onwards and upwards.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
No worries. And, of course, if you want to get involved and cheer for the mighty Bull Sharks of Bond Uni, of course, in the Sapphire Ruby Series up in Queensland, of course, we'll put all the details up. Most of their games will be played at Nissan Arena over the weekends. There's more on the Smash Sport Show right after this. Don't go away here on the 10th year celebration.